You witness someone stealing food while you're grocery shopping. What do you do? To know what you're talking about. I saw nothing. Yep, it's not really my problem, and I'm not going to really get on somebody about food. I was just thinking about this the other day. If they are stealing food, they must be really hungry. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Not my chair, not my problem. That's what I always say. Mind my own damn business. Exactly. The store isn't paying me to snoop on fellow customers. As someone who works at a grocery store, they pay me enough to work but not enough to care. Totally happened to me several years ago. I was with my daughter, 7 at the time, and we were at the checkout. This is at one of the old school grocery stores where they still have a guy who bags all your things and puts them in a buggy. While the cashier was scanning things, I noticed the bagger, an elderly man probably around 70-something, take a handful of the grapes I bought and slip some into his pocket. For a moment I was a bit bewildered since they had been weighed and now I'm short like half a bunch of grapes. I didn't say anything. The whole time I'm walking to my car, I'm having this internal debate about whether I should inform management or not. I probably sat in my car for the longest thinking about it. I decided to call the store manager and inquire about that particular employee and said I was concerned that he might not be eating lunch or have enough food at home without mentioning him stealing my grapes. Turns out I was right. Post phone call, the manager followed up with me later and the guy was literally having to choose his medication over eating. Someone in HR was able to help him out with affording it and he got a nice little bonus. Not a goddamn thing. I worked in a grocery store for 3 years. And I still didn't do shit if I saw someone stealing. I work in the meat department, lady. If I'm having a bad day, I just punch the meat in a boxing montage. The literal only time I ever said something was the one time I saw some jackass walk over to the asparagus, rip all the heads off them, and toss the stalks back. F that guy. Pray that their children sleep with full bellies and smiles. And that their situation switches to positive. This, exactly. If I'm stealing food, I'm in a really, really bad way. I assume that's the case for anyone stealing food. It's not my call to, in the moment, see a person and decide whether they're really in need or are just an asshole who likes to steal. As someone else said, I'm not going to do security's job for them. Ask the nearest store employee to help me find something on the opposite side of the store. Ain't nobody out there filching food for fun. Mind my own business. When I worked as a supervisor at a grocery store, a woman asked to speak to a manager and I came over. She pulled me aside away from everyone and told me she consistently stole a lot of food from the store because she was in a bad place and told me she's getting her life together and wanted to confess. She told me I could call the police if I felt that was necessary. I told her absolutely not, and she needs food more than the corporation needs money. And if stealing was the only way for her to eat, then she did what she had to do. She started to cry and thank me. I'm forever glad that I was the one available to come talk to her, and that I didn't get higher up leadership to deal with the situation. They're technically who we were supposed to call when someone asked for a manager. I hope she's okay. I think about her a lot. There has been one exception to me minding my own business, and it was when I worked at the same grocery store, different location, and this old man would come in, open up a granola bar, and eat it while making aggressive eye contact with whatever employee was nearby. Hate that dude. He was weird. That girl appreciated your kindness. You helped her move past her guilt, and she cannot find words to thank you enough. Shop local. Steal corporate. Be the change you want to see in the world. Former grocery store manager here. Depends on what they're stealing. Are they stealing an entire cart full of non-necessities? Alcohol, junk food, cosmetics, etc. Yeah, I'm gonna call the cops, and I will press charges. Are they stealing vegetables, basic meats, and pantry staples? Yeah, I didn't see shit, and I wouldn't allow any of my employees to see anything either. On several occasions, I would coupon out some of the regulars who I knew were struggling to make ends meet. I regularly let employees take food home as long as they weren't purposely creating waste in order to take it home. I was in charge of security for the store. Literally, no one else even knew how to work the camera system, and it was an old system that didn't connect to corporate. If I didn't want it seen, it didn't happen. People need to eat. Used to manage a fast food restaurant. This was like 15 years ago, but even then the price of a lone fountain pop was absurd. Doubly absurd because the place I worked for, Pepsi, had a large stake in, and we, at least at the time, got our 20-pound bags of syrup for like a quarter of what the other stores pay. It was a food court. I once saw the Pepsi delivery person's order for another store on a clipboard and he had laying around. The price difference was nuts. Sometimes folks would come up, old folks, little kids by themselves, people who unfortunately looked homeless. Hell, it could even be people who were fishing for a credit card to pay for one drink, and I'd just be like, oh, the cash register went down, but don't worry about it, it's on the house, and people would be so happy. The return on fountain drinks is wild even for the stores paying 4 times what we were. For us it was just pure greed and profit. Didn't help that the owner, it was a franchisee store, had like 4 Rolexes and would try to tell me that he isn't that well off. His cheapest one, he told me, was over $10K. Yeah, I'll continue not letting Grandma pull out her credit card for half a liter of Diet Pepsi. Silently judged based on the food being stolen. She is very attractive. But brown rice and Pop-Tarts? Chamomile tea and economy vodka? That's a car crash of a shopping basket. Why would I do anything? I'm not snitching. The person is probably hungry and can't afford food. Not my chair. Not my problem. I didn't witness someone stealing food, but I had a new coworker who had just moved to town from out of state mention that he and his wife would drive around to various stores and steal 1 or 2 items so he and his family with 3 kids could eat. He had not received his first paycheck yet. That evening my wife and I bought about a month's worth of groceries and left them on the step to his camper trailer that they were living in at the truck stop. The next day he came to work and said God had answered his prayers. I don't believe in God, but I do believe in human compassion.